Ukraine's intelligence service claims to have leaked the personal information of more than 2,000 Russian soldiers and spies. The first list allegedly includes the names, birthdays, job titles, and passport numbers of 650 agents from Russia's main security agency, the FSB. The second list is said to include the information of 1,600 Russian troops who were stationed in the Ukrainian city of Bucha, where a mass murder of civilians is believed to have taken place. NBC News has not yet verified the accuracy of all that data. Marc Polymeropoulos joins us now. He's a 26-year veteran of the CIA, serving in both Iraq and Afghanistan, and it's one of the agency's most decorated field officers. Marc, it's great to see you this morning. I want to ask you about what's happening in the east of Ukraine right now, but first, what do you make of that report that Ukraine leaked all that information? What is the benefit of doing that?
Well, first, thanks for having me today. I think that I just have to say the Greek diaspora is cheering now. You have a Stavridis and a Polymeropoulos on set together.
Yes. Our bases.
And, you know, we need George Tenet, and then it's the Greek hat trick. But look, the release of this information is pretty extraordinary. You know, we talk about hybrid warfare, and we always kind of feared that the Russians would do things like this. The Ukrainians are doing it right back at them. And it matters because, first of all, it gets into Putin's head. It certainly affects the morale of these units that are involved in the atrocities. And it goes to the final point is, at some point, there's going to be a reckoning in terms of war crimes. And so the Ukrainians are messaging to the Russians is, we know who did this. We're going to hold you accountable. And I think that's really important. And, you know, there's more to come. I think we're going to see messaging campaigns from the Ukrainians, perhaps in conjunction with the allies. You know, 2 Russian military units stationed inside Ukraine, you know, warning them about certain things such as war crimes. So they're on the offense. This is a good thing. And we're finally really, you know, playing in the Russians' old sphere of hybrid warfare, and we're winning.
So at an event in Georgia last week, CIA Director William Burns gave this answer when asked about the threat of Russia using nuclear weapons in Ukraine.
Given the potential desperation of President Putin and the Russian leadership, given the setbacks that they've faced so far militarily, none of us can take lightly the threat posed by a potential resort to tactical nuclear weapons or low-yield nuclear weapons.
And of course, Mark, that's what I was talking to Admiral Stavridis about before, the possibility of losing even after the Ukrainians win. Talk about that part of Burns' speech, but also the speech in general and the importance of it.
Sure. So last week, you know, Bill Burns, you know, made what is in essence his first public speech. I think that, you know, what you just relayed before got a lot of play because he gave, a warning about the potential use of tactical nuclear weapons. And look, when Bill Burns talks, you know, we really have to listen. But he also went on to say that we haven't seen signs of any movement. So I think that the U.S. intelligence community is going to be laser focused on taking a look at, you know, the Russian capabilities, land, sea, and air, how they would employ these tactical nuclear weapons. We haven't seen movement yet, and that's a good thing. If we do, one of the things I would expect to see is more of these authorized disclosures, and that is what has been very effective in the past. It's almost operationalizing intelligence, but it would be a message to the world that Putin is going down this path. Certainly, it's going to be a warning to Putin, but there's another side of this too. I also think that it's going to be a message to China because, you know, President Xi and China don't want to see this conflict go nuclear. So perhaps, you know, it will almost be kind of reaching out to China and saying, you know, put some pressure on your client state. So I'd expect these authorized disclosures if we see this kind of movement. But look, you know, Burns makes this warning, and you know, this is one of the most respected figures in the national security establishment. We should really listen to him. In terms of the speech itself, it was remarkable. You know, he laid out the kind of the short-term challenge of Russia. He talked about Putin. He said he's an apostle of payback. What a line! You know, he talked about the long-term challenge of China. And then there's 2 other key points on this. He talked about how for the U.S. Operational capabilities, human intelligence, what I used to do, you know, we are faced with what's called a ubiquitous technical surveillance environment, which means it's harder to run human intelligence operations. The CIA has to adapt. And the last piece of the speech, which for me really was profound, is he talked about when he was a young diplomat, one of his friends, Matt Gannon, was killed in Pan Am 103. That's a CIA officer whose star is on the wall, the memorial wall at Langley. Really kind of profound moment. And so, you know, I think Burns, you know, laid out a really positive positive speech for the future of the intelligence community. And again, when he speaks, people better listen.
Yeah, it really is something what the White House has been doing from the beginning, talking about using intel against Putin. First of all, saying he's going to invade when all of our allies, and Zelensky was saying, no, he's not. Stop panicking. Biden was right about that. But I can't imagine anything. Talk about the psyops. I can't imagine anything driving Vladimir Putin crazier than when you have the Pentagon spokesperson going behind the podium with Pentagon, a sign behind him saying, this is what's happening in the Russian military now. These are the problems they're having. This is why their operation in the Donbass is going to be slow for a while. They've obviously been beating Russia at their game, and it's not even close. I mean, this is like, it can be like when the Red Sox play Tampa, when we play the Blue Jays. I mean, it's going to be ugly.
Team with us, yeah. No, you're right, and that would drive any leader crazy, particularly one like Putin, who's a former intelligence officer himself.
Right.
And Burns was the driving force behind this strategy at the White House.
By the way, Burns has spent time with Putin.
Former ambassador to Russia, knows Putin well, speaks Russian. He, among anyone on Biden's staff, knows Putin the best, and he was the one, the driving force. He to craft this strategy prior to the war to put out intelligence in public, and to keep doing so even as the conflict has begun. So, Mark, one thing that they have warned about was of the idea that Russia would engage in cyber attacks. And it has been surprising that really hasn't happened yet. But we've got a fresh round of warnings just in the last couple of days here, with Putin seemingly cornered, the war not going well, about to focus on the Donbass, that this might finally be the moment where they unleash the cyber attacks. How would the U.S. and the West prepare for something like that?
Well, I think we have, and I said, it is curious to a lot of us who are outside of government now as to why this hasn't occurred. But I also get a sense that perhaps there's some things we did put our defenses up, and so I wouldn't be surprised, in the weeks and months to come to understand that, or to learn that the U.S. has actually been pretty good in thwarting Russian cyber. One of the things that the Russians were very effective at, over the years is using offensive cyber operations when our guard was down. This happened certainly in Europe, in Ukraine, when they took down kind of the power infrastructure, and of course in the United States in the past. So I think we've all collectively gotten better. But I get a sense that we've done a lot of things behind the scenes that we don't know about, and we'll find out down the line. But kudos to Cyber Command and those who have really kind of taken this as their mantra.
Mark, thanks for being here.
Thank you.